Welcome to the Building a Referral Engine webinar presented by Unstack and Rewardful. Really excited about this. We've got a couple of very smart gentlemen running the show here today. I was not in the email that got all you guys to register. I'm Zach Rigo and I'll be joining you. Let's give a quick intro. We'll go through an agenda and then we'll dive into how you guys can build a referral engine and really scale your business. First, I want to intro our host and experts today. We've got Brady Cassidy, co-founder of Rewardful. Brady, would love for you to introduce yourself, give everyone a quick background on your experience.
Hey guys, great to meet you. I've been running Rewardful for over 3 years now. So we've seen all sorts of different things in the referral and affiliate space. Prior to that, I've built 4 other startups, so have a lot of experience doing a variety of different types of programs that I'm excited to share with you today.
Awesome. And next, my boss and an expert in some spaces that we'll learn about today, Grant Deacon, CEO of Unstack.
Hey guys, excited to have this program today. Zach said I'm the founder and CEO of Unstack. Prior to this, I also built and ran a company called Grapevine, which is one of the world's largest influencer marketing platforms. So excited to share some lessons learned from both that experience and what we're seeing today at Unstack.
Awesome. And I'm Zach Rigo. Like I mentioned, I'm crashing the party here with these two gentlemen, but I'm VP of Sales and Marketing at Unstack. In a previous life, I built the agency business at WordStream, which was made up of about 1,800 agency customers managing close to 25,000 Google Ads and Facebook accounts. So, across the three of us, we've kind of got the agency partner program, influencer marketing program, and Brady with a lot of experience across a bunch of channels. Today, we're going to talk about kind of 4 key programs: affiliates, partners, referral, and influencer. To give you a quick agenda, we're going to have Brady go through a deep dive on kind of each of these programs, how they're usually made up. And then we'll dive into some strategies and how you can build them out, some key stats on each of them, some commissions or payouts structures that you should be looking at, and ways you can acquire partners within these different programs. So I'm going to kick it over to Brady, and he's going to give us a quick overview on each of the individual programs as he sees them at Rewardful.
All right. So we often see everyone using the words referral and affiliate interchangeably, but we think about them in very different ways. So we often get people coming to of the type of program they want to run. But we like to bucket into 4 different categories and 4 different groups that we believe are very distinct. And we want to run you through those today to get you thinking about how each of these different types of programs might be useful for your business. So the first one is referral programs. Typically, referral programs are limited to your existing customer base. They often live inside your app. You can think of them as a typical refer a friend program. And the referrers typically don't need a separate login because it is inside your app to access their link, their stats, and everything in between. And they're automatically enrolled in the program upon signing up to your app. They don't need to sign up separately for the program. What we find is that it's typically best to start this type of program once you're beyond 1,000 customers or users, just because you're only going to get a portion of people participating in the program to start with. You definitely can start earlier, and we do see a lot of people starting it earlier. But the ones that have a meaningful impact on their business in terms of revenue and customer acquisition are usually beyond this scale. As I mentioned, it's typically a one-to-one refer a friend or one-to-few. Unless you have an influential customer base, we see this in the online course space. Obviously, if you're running a program at Grapevine when your customers are influencers themselves, you can tap into this a little bit earlier because of who your base is. But for most businesses, it's typically good to have some sort of initial scale before kicking this off. The rewards are a little bit more flexible often with referral programs. They're often done as credit or custom rewards, sometimes gift cards or cash. free periods, things like that. We even have some customers doing, fitness companies giving out custom swag when people hit certain milestones in terms of the amount of friends they've referred and things like that. And the other interesting thing about referral programs is that in terms of your commission or your rewards, they typically don't need to be as lucrative as the other program types. And this is because customers are already passionate about what you're doing. And so they don't need as much of an incentive. Moving on to affiliate programs. Rewardful initially started in the affiliate space. We now encompass all program types. But the one thing that's unique about affiliate programs is that it often requires a separate login portal to access. And this is because it's typically a large portion of non-customers. Programs are run both public and private. There's pros and cons of both, and happy to chat about that later. But these programs, you can typically start a lot earlier in terms of your business life cycle. You can start them anytime really, but the biggest thing to keep in mind is you're obviously going to get more traction once your business has traction, just because if affiliates are going to be promoting you, especially powerful affiliates or super affiliates, they're going to want to make sure that your product is sticky and that your churn is low enough that they can make a meaningful commission from referring you business. If you are earlier on, you might want to consider front loading some of the incentives just to keep your affiliates happy, because there's a bit less risk in terms of churn for them. These programs we see as a one-to-many. One affiliate can send you an extraordinary amount of customers, and the rewards they typically prefer are in the form of cash, as either a percentage of the revenue they generate for you, or a fixed amount. I'll go into more detail later in the presentation in terms of the commissions that people are using on Rewardful, but the average we're seeing across our network right now is around 33%, with the mode being 30%, and most are recurring in the subscription and SaaS space. Moving on to influencers. Influencer programs are very similar to affiliate programs in the sense that they require a separate login portal. A lot of these influencers aren't existing customers of yours, and so they need that portal. These programs are almost always private. They're not opened up publicly, and they're typically invite only. You want to keep them exclusive, and one of the reasons for this is that your rewards are typically a lot higher than an affiliate program. So you often need to incentivize them a lot more. They have a lot more negotiating power, and sometimes they even want cash up front, depending on who you're working with, as opposed to just getting a cut when they refer you a successful new customer. And the other parts of it are quite similar to affiliate in terms of them wanting your business to be a bit more established, but you can sometimes get a lot of traction with this earlier on if you either pay up front for it, or if you have some sort of relationship that allows you access to the influencers. Moving on to partner programs. This is more of a B2B play, using agencies as partners, using platforms or integration marketing, or tapping into incubators or other groups that have a large number of customers that they can send your way, becoming a preferred vendor, or there's a variety of different ways you can approach it. Typically, these are technically more similar to affiliate programs in the sense that they require a separate login portal. These platforms or agencies or incubators are often not customers of yours, and so they do need that portal. And then they're often private because you definitely want to vet these folks before you let them into your program. You can start these quite early in the business. There is a relationship play often to get them onto your platform and get them participating and sending you business. It's a one-to-many play. It's not as high as leverage as influencer programs, but it often falls in line with affiliate programs. It's a bit more distributed in terms of the number of folks sending you customers as opposed to affiliates or influencers. The rewards are often in cash, percentage or fixed amount, and the rewards are often quite similar to the affiliate side of things. These agency folks definitely prefer recurring commission in terms of their rewards. And the one thing that's unique with these folks is that you often need to allow self-referrals, especially through the agency channel. And that's because they're often signing up for clients themselves on their behalf, whereas on the affiliate side, you're definitely not allowing self-referrals.
So I'll jump in here next to kind of set the stage. And I think that was a really good kind of overview of those four like pillar kind of areas that you can focus on for driving referrals in your business. We're going to dive much deeper. We've got about, I think, 30 slides that are going to dive deeper into really kind of unpacking the specific tactics you can use to start making the most of each of those different channels. But I think before jumping into that, there's a little bit of housekeeping around like, what's your home base for these programs? And some of the things that we've learned building ours. So I'll talk just a little bit about that over the next couple of slides. I think the first thing is, sorry, I kind of do these in reverse order, but that's okay. The first thing for us is when we started our program, we actually are below that 1,000 a month or 1,000 customer limit. So we're in the early camp of starting that program. We had to think about, how do you position this? Where are you promoting this program? One of the things that we focused on very early on was building community. And I think for anybody who's on this call thinking about how to engage with their customers, whether it's partners or active customers using the platform, community is a really great way early on to build engagement, build rapport, and kind of have that relationship before you go for the ask and launching your affiliate program, your referral program. So we found a lot of success in this. It's free to do, and we've been surprised at how engaged people are in both working with other customers and then also with us. So it's a really great way for us to be kind of dialed in and engaged. I think in terms of our actual program, Zach, if you go to the next slide, very early on, you kind of have to have a home base and really drive the point home of like why people should be, joining your program. So for us, we have a very clear sort of perspective on, what our program does, who it's for. We've put a video together that really highlights why we decided to do our affiliate or referral program. And then I think specifically like what the specific value is, for joining, and the details. I think the details really matter, both in terms of, having, your terms of service and how the actual program works, which Brady will cover in a minute, but also just kind of highlighting those high level questions that people are going to ask before getting started. So I think, making sure that you kind of identify the personas that you're going after, specific value prop to them, because it's going to change between a specific customer, an influencer, and a partner. You can actually use that same page to kind of appeal to a range of use cases and make sure it's very clear. Zach, if you go to the next page, I think multi-channel engagement is something that, so this is important for a lot of reasons. One, when we announced our program, we sent out an email kind of highlighting what we just talked about on that landing page. And we got some pretty good results from that, really high open rate. We saw a number of people engage. And I think just in even the first few days, the amount of social sharing that was happening around our app skyrocketed. And again, these are things that really anyone can do. If you're using Rewardful, they make it easy to get things set up on the tracking side. If you're using Unstack, you can put the landing page up in minutes. So it's very quick to be able to bring something like this to market. Again, reinforcing like what's in it for them, why they should join. And I think on the relationship side, asking for feedback. I think, Zach and the team spent a lot of time asking folks like, hey, what do you need, to kind of share more about Unstack? Are there specific assets that we can give you? Are there certain things we could do together? Even things like custom pages for people so they have a home base to send their referrals. I think the other thing too is while we sent this out for kind of the announcement of our program, I would really encourage everyone to think about how to automate the introduction of this program in multiple ways. So I think Brady will talk a little bit about where you can kind of salt and pepper this into either your app and various marketing. For us, we look at customers who have been with us for 30 to 60 days, who are strong promoters of the business, and then putting this in front of them because they'll make really great sort of champions for the business. So thinking about where and how you can kind of automate that step. So every customer you have coming in after a certain amount of time, if they're doing well with the product, getting the program in front of them in multiple ways. Just like any marketing program, this doesn't happen with just one sort of outreach or touch point. You definitely need to be thinking about a whole marketing strategy around this in terms of multiple touch points inside your app, on your landing pages, in your email, and et cetera. So that's why we talk about kind of the multi-channel engagement approach here.
All right, I'm going to walk you through different ways to acquire affiliates. Obviously, this is one of the biggest hurdles for ramping up your affiliate program. It definitely takes some time and some effort, but I'm excited to walk you through some different approaches and some tips and tricks. So the way that we often see a lot of folks approaching their affiliate programs early on is that they set it up and they think it's going to be set it and forget it. But it definitely does require a bit of work up front, unless you do have a starting base to run from. So in terms of recruiting your affiliates, so the first way and the easiest way is obviously acquiring them through inbound means. So you have you should always set up a landing page. Pody has a good example. If you go to their site and go to the footer and they have a refer a creator program, it's a good example of a landing page. Should explain what the program's about, what's in it for them, why they should join, what the rewards will be, what the payouts are, what the payout schedules are, et cetera, et cetera. It's important to have a strong terms of service in place. If you guys are interested, I can share examples of that, but you definitely want to add things like no self referrals, no abuse or gaming of the program. You often don't want them doing things that could confuse prospective customers with your own marketing activities. So you definitely want to stay away from that. You definitely want to ban them bidding on your brand terms in terms of Google AdWords or other search engines. So there's a few gotchas that you definitely want to put into your terms of service so that you can make sure that you're running a viable and legitimate program. A lot of companies add links to their site footer, put it in your email signature, put it in your social media posts, put it in your transactional emails. If you're doing referral marketing, it's good to ask it after, say, a net promoter score, after a customer renews. Initially, when they first sign up, think of all the different excitement points that the customers have during their engagement with your product, and those are often the best times to ask them to refer someone else. Now going into outbound, which is obviously a bit more work to get going. There are some low-hanging fruit in terms of reaching out to your network, reaching out to your friends. If you have established yourself in the market either prior to building the business, and you've built up an audience, you can get a head start with this for sure. But even reaching out to your friends if you haven't, to see if they know anyone that might be relevant or could benefit from what you're offering. One of the biggest impact ways of tapping into affiliates is looking for bloggers or journalists. They're often looking for a way to monetize their audience, and so they're looking for relevant affiliate programs to join to start to build up their cash flow and income. Look for owners and moderators of relevant groups on Facebook or LinkedIn or other platforms. Look for complementary solutions that you can do cross promotion with. You could promote them, they could promote you, or you can just incentivize them to promote you. And newsletters are often really powerful for this as well, in terms of a channel. Another way is to run the backlinks of your competitors or alternatives and see who's linking to them. You'll often come across a lot of great opportunities, both for link building and for affiliates. You can search and sort in different ways to pull out the affiliate links. So for example, if you're in the online courses space, here's an example from Ahrefs of affiliate links to Teachable. So if you want to leverage those affiliates, you could find them this way and reach out to them and pitch them on joining your program. And you also get the added benefits of SEO and link building, especially if you choose a platform that links directly to your root domain as opposed to using redirects. One hack when using Ahrefs, so if you search in Teachable here for an example, if you filter the backlinks by user-generated content or sponsored, you'll often come across a lot of affiliate links. You'll see on the right there that a whole bunch of different blogs that you can reach out to if you use this approach, which is a nice little hack. Or another very easy way is just search relevant keywords in Google and reach out to the top ranked sites, especially non-branded terms of that you want to rank for, hard to rank for terms. You can piggyback on the SEO of a lot of these folks that have built up their rankings over time, especially when you're early on. It's a nice way to tap into that traffic that they're getting. One thing that I want to stress is that in terms of affiliate programs especially, it is quality over quantity. One super affiliate can completely change your program and sometimes can completely change your business. What we see is that about 5% of affiliates drive about 80% of your affiliate revenue. And so it's not a game of getting as many affiliates as you can sign up. It's definitely finding high quality affiliates and working closely with them to get them to ramp up. And one thing, like I mentioned, your dream affiliates in these top 5% often won't just come to you through inbound finding your program in the footer of your site. You definitely will get some from that over time. It takes a little while to ramp, but you're definitely going to have a lot more success if you go to them and convince them it's a good fit. It's just like acquiring your dream customers. You often have to go to them and convince them it's a good fit. Here, it's the same sort of thing, but the leverage is much higher because they can send you an insane amount of customers. Now, the next step after you've recruited your affiliates is to activate them and to begin nurturing them. So you can't expect your affiliates just to remember your program and come back unless it is a huge amount of their income or your daily activities. So it's very important to connect your email marketing platform to send them a welcome message, send ongoing updates, and provide them with non-transactional content that they can help amplify. You want to help them help you. So in terms of the welcome sequence, you often want to send them details about the program, send them their link right in the email so it's readily available. They don't need to log in to access it all the time. And one thing that is really important is to seed ideas for promoting you. Make it as easy as possible for them to promote you. Remove the creative friction. So here's a good example from Podia on the right of 7 ideas for promoting your referral link. They talk about writing blog posts, sending a newsletter, filming video, recording podcasts, etc. And in each of these, they break out into examples to get people's thoughts flowing. So Podia versus another product reviews, share a roundup, read a review on your blog about Podia, etc. And sorry, just going back there, Zach. In terms of other low-hanging fruit is to create assets and swipe copy. So if you want them to promote you on Twitter, if that's a good channel for your audience, recommend that they promote you on Twitter, and you might even want to pre-write some of the tweets and allow them to edit them, for example. The more you can remove the creative friction, the better. Make it as easy as possible for them. In terms of the ongoing updates, you definitely want to keep them in the loop on your product updates, new features you're shipping, so that they can find more customers that are a good fit for it. They can update their posts, they can write more reviews on that, and you want to send them notifications when they get a new commission. This is a nice little dopamine hit to pull them back into promoting you. People get pretty excited when they get these commission emails. We see it all the time. And then monthly recaps in terms of how they're performing in the program. And what's really important is don't just send updates and monthly recaps. If they are getting commission, also send it to people that get no commission and have had no activity as a way to pull them back in, because they might have completely forgot about your program. And one of the things that we don't see enough of is providing your affiliates with non-transactional content to amplify. A lot of people use their affiliates and it's send them to your site, buy now, but it's really helpful to help them amplify all the different types of marketing you're doing. If you write a new blog post, send it to them and allow them to use that to refer people to in terms of affiliates. They can discover you in a variety of different ways, news and updates and press releases, white papers, ebooks, free tools that you create. They love promoting this material, and it gives them a whole bunch of different additional touch points that they can have with their audience, rather than just they can only send buy now so many times.
Yeah, Brady, what I loved about kind of the overview there was it's very clear, like you need to enable your affiliates, right? Like you need to put the work in to really help them do their job.
Yeah, for sure.
And I think that's really similar to for really any of these, but definitely for influencer as well. And it's not, as Brady kind of said, that a lot of this is not rocket science, but it's just working really smart to engage with the right people to really build, awareness around your product. And this is something that we thought a lot about early on at my previous company, Grapevine. We struggled, I think in the early days to bring on influencers. We were adding, 10 here, 20 there, and so how did we really go from 40 influencers to, over 170,000 over the course of a few years? And if you go to the next slide, Zach, again, it wasn't rocket science. We actually used influencer marketing and affiliate recruitment. And we thought about the story that we wanted to tell and how we wanted to help those influencers tell our story to the right audience. So when you get everything to line up just right, I think whether it's an influencer or whether it's an affiliate or whether it's with your own customers, if you can help them tell the right story to the right audience, these programs can work really well. In our case, for that particular business, this probably isn't a surprise. The concept of how to make money on YouTube as our hook in the content with a call to action to join Grapevine worked incredibly well, way better than we thought it really ever could have. And so, Zach, if you go to the next slide, I really believe that any business can use this strategy. You just have to really think about what that story is that you want to tell. And it can work for both B2B or direct-to-consumer businesses. So again, I think what I would encourage anyone on this call to do thinking about influencer is really how do you kind of craft a narrative? How do you identify the right influencers and then align that to their audience? And so that really happens in like 4 steps more or less, which we'll go through right now. I think the first thing is no matter where you are in your company journey, you should be starting to think about a targeted influencer database. And this can be as simple as having, Google Sheets or a CRM that you keep a dedicated list of influencers, industry influencers, potential affiliates. Brady talked about kind of that dream of affiliate, right? A few minutes ago. You should know who those folks are, and you should have that list. One of the things I would really encourage you to do is start trying to engage with them and build those relationships very early on. They may not be the right fit today. Maybe you're too early. Maybe the financial arrangement just like won't work for where you're at. Maybe they need too much money if it's sort of an upfront. But whatever it is, I think you will do really well for yourself to be thinking about how you're engaging with these folks and building relationships. Again, I think this is an opportunity too where you can start small, learn what works, invest in winners, and grow it over time. So even for Unstack, we're working with some smaller affiliates. Most people don't start out with those dream influencers or dream affiliates that have millions of followers, and in fact, those might not even be the right people for your brand. They can be very expensive. They can be very hard to work with. And so finding kind of those folks who are more aligned to where you are in your process, I think can work really well. In terms of actually finding those folks and starting to build those relationships, there are different channels that are going to work better for different businesses. Brady mentioned Twitter a little while ago. Twitter and LinkedIn are probably more synonymous with, B2B businesses, whereas Instagram and TikTok, and to some extent Facebook certainly would, work really, really well if you're doing a sort of direct response or, e-commerce, direct to consumer, things like that. But I think one of the things that we always found a lot of success with was YouTube. For a couple of reasons. One, it's the second largest search engine in the world. So, going back to that other slide a few minutes ago, Brady had, he was searching on, Ahrefs or on Google for content about his brands. Well, YouTube's very similar. And I'm sure we've all kind of been on there at some point, trying to figure out how to do something and search, how to, I think Zach was at one point building something for his house, and he was telling me how he went on YouTube and figured out how to do that. So that's happening for your business, for your products, for everyone on this call. And I think starting to find influencers who are already out there with authority around those specific talking points is going to benefit you really well. So just getting out there, putting a little bit of time to start doing those searches, building that list, I think is step one. The other thing too, and it's not written out on this slide, but I think is really important about YouTube and blog content, for example, is they are evergreen. So, whereas you might work with an influencer who's doing something on TikTok or Instagram, that content's not really going to benefit you long-term. Whereas YouTube and blog content sort of on owned channels, it's really going to help you, I think, have more referral traffic long-term. So if you're thinking about kind of maybe where to put some of your time and resources around these different, social platforms and things like that, think about whether there's kind of that evergreen option for you. And most often I would look for that over something that's maybe more ephemeral. In terms of other places where you can find influencers, there are established marketplaces out there who have done a pretty good job, sourcing and vetting and pulling stats around influencers to kind of give you more of a perspective as you engage with people. Certainly you can do that with Grapevine. Famebit is another one. There's a new service if you're interested in podcasts. It's called Podcorn, which is pretty interesting. So podcast sponsorships is something that we're seeing more of and more influencers kind of dip their toe into. And then just on a more organic basis, I think being present where the conversation is happening around your business is just a really good best practice. You can see on the right-hand side, this is just a recent tweet from earlier this month where somebody was, asking, about content marketing platforms. And, it was a really great way for us to just organically engage with somebody who has a good bit of influence in the space. So again, these are just things that you can do and kind of work into your routine, whether it's you or your team that are kind of working on this. So as you're acquiring those, I think the third piece here is crafting the story. And I've said this a few times, especially when it comes to influencers and especially those super affiliates. The commercial terms do matter, but the story is also really important. I think influencers get pitched a ton. You might not think it when you go and look at their channels, but these folks are getting inbound inquiries to do sponsored content and join programs all the time. So if you're the 25th person to pitch your product for, even if it's a great, rev share, 20, 30, 40% off, they might just kind of, it might just kind of fall deaf on them. So I would really encourage you to, pitch it to them in a way that says, hey, I've thought about your audience. I know who they are. We can really solve a problem for them. We think it's really exciting, and, we'd love to talk to you about it. And I think showing that you've actually put the work in, it's worth that extra bit of time to craft that message. And then that sets you up for everything else. So you've got the relationship, there's alignment around how to kind of bring this opportunity to someone's audience. And then you can kind of work together to kind of craft the delivery of that. I think one thing I've seen is, and Brady hit on this too, between affiliates and partners and influencers, one thing I would say is if you're going for larger influencers, you're likely going to need to come out of pocket. So I just have an example here on the right-hand side. This is somebody that we were in touch with who we're really excited to work with, building the relationship. They do have a massive following, but then their kind of agent came back and said, oh, for a video it would be somewhere around the, $20,000 to $25,000 range. So, that may scare some folks. And if you're much further along, you might say, hey, actually, if the economics worked out, like we could do that. But I think for most people on this call, it's probably good to look for some of those smaller influencers that you can get started with and kind of validate your offer, your channel, your price point, and your promotion. And I think as you kind of go through that process, you can build up and up and up. And then you can also think about like what works in terms of negotiating with influencers. Again, I think one thing when you're reaching out to these folks, the way you can find everyone's email with probably almost 100% accuracy is you just go to their YouTube channel, go to the About page, and you should be able to get their contact information right there. And they put it there because they want to get opportunities to work with folks. Once they get to a certain size, you'll start to see kind of talent agency emails or, more, hey, for bookings, talk to this person. That's a pretty strong signal that they're going to be pretty expensive. And so you may want to add them to your list and engage with them. But if you're not ready to kind of engage in that capacity, you may want to kind of step back. I think the fourth step is, so we've talked about kind of, building that database, starting to build relationships, thinking about the story, engaging with some of those influencers. I think the tactical piece here is you also want to think about how you create something unique for them to give to their audience. This is something that we saw work incredibly well across the board, whether it was our own program or with, any of the customers who are running influencer campaigns. If you're able to give something away that kind of makes it special and unique, the offer will do much better. So I would think about influencer as more of a loss leader category relative to some of the others that we've discussed in this presentation. But as Brady said, it's one to many. So with the right influencer, you can drive quite a bit of volume very quickly. And I've also found that influencers promote what other influencers promote. So sometimes just getting going with some content and a great offer can really kind of signal to, a little bit of FOMO to other influencers. Oh, hey, that's a really interesting piece of content they did. And you can start to kind of build some of your own influence in the space to work with more influencers. I think also as you are working with folks, and I have this on the right, this is kind of what I would recommend as your funnel. So I would be driving folks, really into an offer page that's connected directly to the content that they made about you. So, if you're really looking to get the most out of these programs, having that continuity, I think, is really, really key. Even if you're doing an upfront with them, which means you've paid sort of an upfront sponsor fee, use a platform like Rewardful or really solid UTM tracking to know if it's converting so that you have those optics. You can double down on the winners and or maybe convince some of those folks who are asking for upfronts to move to more of a rev share basis if it's attractive for them to do that. So no matter what the engagement is, you're going to want to make sure you're tracking all of this. The third piece is, and this is kind of just tactical and a little bit outside of scope of this presentation, but for all those folks who hit that offer and don't convert, just make sure you've got some remarketing in place, whether that's your Facebook pixel, some lead capture for email so that you can keep working those folks. And again, that's just going back to building that system. So just very quick kind of 3-step funnel process once you get to the point of actually creating that content with influencers and promoting your offer. I mentioned a couple of these, but I think if the upfront promo goes well, you can use that conversion data we talked about to potentially move folks to a rev share. In my experience, affiliate content, any sort of blog content that others are creating, so user-generated content, influencer content, will outperform content that you create because people would much rather hear from someone else how great you are than you telling them. So I think that's just something to think about as a quick hack, is you can actually make sure you clear it with any influencers you're working with. But ask them if you can use their content or cut it into ad formats or kind of pepper it into other marketing things that you're doing so that you can actually use their content and amplify that, in other paid channels. So that's a tip I definitely recommend to look into. The other thing is, and this kind of comes back to how we built the Grapevine program, was get those influencers to promote your referral program. And this is something that we've seen as well. We've had affiliates who have created content about Unstack and then said, hey, by the way, they have this is, an affiliate link and they have this killer program. And if you're interested, you should join that too. So you can actually get the affiliates and influencers to promote your program as well and kind of get some level of multiplicative effect to kind of add to that base of those net promoters. And then lastly, I mentioned this and it's kind of related, but influencers do look at what others are promoting. We saw that quite often. And so again, I think going back to starting small and kind of getting some great content out there and then incrementing up in terms of the size of the influencers that you're working with is a great way to run this. It'll kind of reinforce itself as you build. So I think that's probably most of what I'd have on influencer. And again, I think a lot of what we kind of laid out in terms of the work that goes into these programs holds true for each of these categories, including influencers. So Zach, I'll turn it over to you to talk about agency partners.
Yeah, so keeping consistent, right? We want to be creating dedicated pages for folks. And an agency partner is, kind of one framework for this. You can also think of this as a potential reseller partner or an implementation partner. And what's really important about these partnerships is they don't always care about the commission. So you've got to think about what's in it for them. What are their unique perks? How does it impact their clients? So if they're going to be an implementation partner or a reseller, what's the end result that the client receives? And how does your product generate incremental revenue? So something I'm always thinking about is what services for an agency can Unstack impact, or in my previous job at WordStream, can WordStream impact? And then what growth opportunities do you provide resellers or implementation partners? What I mean by that is there a service they're not offering today that they could if they had your product? Or is there a service that they're offering today that might have a high churn characteristic or low profitability that your product can impact? So you want to highlight that stuff front and center on your landing page and really make that the core focus, not necessarily your product and features. The other thing you want to think about is you need to come up with some additional value, right? Every SaaS business right now just about has an agency or a reseller program of some sort. So is it higher commissions? As I mentioned, agencies don't necessarily care about that unless you are a Salesforce and they can build an entire business around an average contract value of $50,000 or more. But most cases, they care about things like building their brand, right? So things like lead sharing or building a referral network or having a community are really important to them. Co-marketing opportunities. So most agencies are thought leaders. They want to be able to share their strategies via your blog or a co-hosted webinar similar to this. Custom training. So they really want to know, am I just going to get normal onboarding, or is there an agency or implementation partner onboarding that's different? And what kind of support am I going to get with this partnership? So is it just the tier 1 support? Do I have a customer support rep that's dedicated to my clients to make sure if the lights go out, I've got someone to help me? So you want to make sure that you're promoting that stuff, not only effectively, but you've got an offer that's really compelling. Next place you need to do is like, where do you find these folks? I've spent a lot of time looking at competitors' directories. These are pretty common to have. So having a marketplace on your site is obviously kind of a form of co-marketing and building that brand awareness. But looking at competitor directories is a great way to go and find implementation or agency partners. And the one thing you really want to be thinking about is how can you impact their business and help them either identify another customer segment that they're not servicing today, or help them sell more services to their existing customer segment from whatever competitor they're providing. So not going to talk bad about any potential competitors, but we'll talk about one that, maybe we'll talk about Webflow, right? And Webflow is an awesome design tool, no code website builder, but lacks a lot of the deep marketing capabilities an agency might need to be successful with Facebook marketing. So, my approach to them is if they've got a subset of clients that are advertising on Facebook, they might want to look at Unstack. Or another example would be HubSpot, which is a more costly tool, has a nice feature set, but might actually limit the HubSpot partners' total addressable market. So Unstack could be a great tool for them to actually go down market, acquire a small business, but still sell them all those great monthly recurring services. So those are just a couple examples. The other place to look is at any integrations you might have. So, Unstack integrates with a bunch of really cool tools. MailChimp's a good example. They've got a huge agency program. Now the agency can sell their clients multiple services that are all integrated, and they have a stack that really works well together. So it's a really nice place to look, really easy offer to come to the market with, and allows the agency to really build services around multiple tools. And then the last one is you've got great clients that are already, in some cases, working with agencies. That's a really nice place to start. If anyone ever mentions that they have an agency they're working with, just ask them for an introduction. If they already have one client using you, they might have other clients using you. And it's a great way to build that relationship and build that trust, and use your customers here again as champions to provide you introductions to kind of scale your business. Any outreach to agencies is always difficult. You want to make sure you're giving before asking for anything. Any implementation or agency partners receiving, just like affiliates, just like influencers, a ton of outreach on this stuff. You've got to make sure you're going to them with opportunities. So first one, that's an easy one, is, hey, we've got a content topic. We're looking for people to create content around landing pages or A/B testing or, Facebook marketing. We'd love to have some of your thought leadership share in our blog, and just give them an opportunity to do some co-marketing with you. The other one is, there might be a customer that's looking for a service, and if you've validated their work and you trust the agency's work, provide an introduction. The other thing is keep them abreast of any information. So you want to get them on a mailing list, similar to Grant's story about building your list of targeted influencers, to let them know what's going on with your product, let them know about customer success stories, share those things far and wide on LinkedIn, and really let people see where you're impacting other businesses. The key here is consistency, and we've talked about this in almost every channel, but making sure you're constantly following up with successful referral partners, affiliate partners, or agency partner success stories. Share content that promotes your company, so customer spotlights, product videos, thought leadership, or product announcements are always really important. Make them easy to share. You want to make, Brady mentioned this, like, take the creativity out of it. Just give them what they need to share and let them share it. Help them, set up monthly or quarterly business reviews and really try to understand what assets these folks need to be successful. Always be consistent, always be asking for feedback, and you'll find that they're going to be sharing often and sharing the content that you want to promote as a company. I'm going to pass it back to Brady for the last couple of slides here to really hammer home with some statistics, things that you can implement and how they can impact your business.
All right, we only got about 10 minutes left here, so I'm going to go through this pretty quickly. One of the most common questions we often get asked is, what should my commission be? And there's a lot of different factors to consider in terms of what commission to offer. What type of program you're running, what's your average customer value, what's the lifetime value of your customer, what's the margins in your product, are you offering services as well? What are the expectations of your affiliates or your partners? What are competitors or alternatives offering in the marketplace that they could be promoting otherwise? And then one other one is, how well known is your brand? if your brand is well known, you can typically get away with offering a bit less, as opposed to if you're just getting started. What we're seeing across the network in terms of the average that I think I just pulled this yesterday from our platform. The average is 29% commission. The mode is 30, and the range is anywhere from 5% to over 100%. There's definitely some unique scenarios on there. But if we move on to the next slide, you can start to see the distribution of what this looks like. So on the vertical axis, you see the number of campaigns running on our platform, or the proportion of campaigns, and then on the bottom you can see the commission that campaign is offering. So you can see that the majority of them are between 25 and 37.5% commission, but this sort of lets you see where the distribution of that falls, if you want to use it as like a reference point for setting your own commission. But definitely keep in mind those factors that I mentioned earlier. Just some quick insights. Zach asked me to pull some platform insights that might be interesting for everyone. Obviously, there's a huge range on a lot of these things, but every referred visitor that lands on your site is worth $1.76 US on average. For every dollar invested, our merchants are earning $3.45 with no risk, because you only pay a commission if you get a paying customer. Referred visitors are converting at 2.74 times the site-wide conversion rate across our platform. And the average commission that we're seeing being offered in terms of fixed dollar amounts is $16.50. So that's including the ones that are percentage based, what they come out to at the end. And the majority are recurring. The largest commission we've had so far on a single sale is over $5,000. And we have over 170,000 affiliates on the platform. Why this matters and why this is interesting is because we're soon going to be launching a marketplace for affiliates that you'll be able to plug into and tap into to take away some of that friction on recruiting affiliates yourself. All right.
And Grant, we've actually had a few questions about using Unstack with Rewardful, and we'll jump into the Q&A. But we did want to, let you guys know we do have an Unstack and Rewardful integration. It's as easy as dropping your Rewardful ID in Unstack for a one-click tracking installation. You can enable payments in Unstack via Stripe, and Unstack will automatically add Rewardful tracking to your payment forms for affiliate credit. No code required. Full program launch in 5 minutes. If you take longer than that, you can reach out to Grant directly. He threw that stat in there, but he promises me it's close.
It's that fast. I before Grapevine ran an affiliate network, and this was always the most frustrating part. And to Brady's credit, they've made it easy. But I think we've taken that one step further by, literally just making this a 2-click sort of option for people to launch. So if it's more than 5 minutes, definitely email me.
Awesome. And I've got my email here, and Chris just put it in the chat. I'm going to jump into some Q&A. We do have 5 minutes left. We cut it a little bit close. Brady and Grant, a couple of these are directed at each of you, but I guess Brady, where transaction-based revenue via Stripe Connect in our marketplace, earning an application fee, is Rewardful able to automatically take a cut out of the application fee and pay out affiliates?
The way that application fees work with Stripe right now aren't compatible with Rewardful, but it is on our roadmap. But definitely reach out, and I can let you know when that's ready.
Okay. What happens, and Brady, this is a great question for you. What happens when you refund a customer? What's that time frame that affiliates or commissions are paid that folks will then either take back the commission or continue to pay it out?
Yeah, it might depend upon like which platform you're using. But with Rewardful, we automatically adjust the affiliate commission instantly when you refund any payments. So it automatically gets readjusted for the amount that gets billed to someone's credit card. We only generate commission when a payment successfully goes through. If there's a refund, full refund, partial refund, any type of adjustment to the payment, we automatically adjust the commissions.
Okay. And another question kind of along that same vein. Can you please talk about whether it's possible to use Rewardful as a milestone-based, pre-customer referral rewards tool, similar to a viral loops?
Yeah. So what's interesting is we have a ton of referral platforms. Many of the ones you mentioned in there are actually using Rewardful for their affiliate program themselves, which I always found to be very interesting. But you can use it for referral programs. We don't have the same approach to milestone programs, but you can use it for credit, automatic credit, payments, things like that, the same way you would referral programs. But in terms of like milestones and things like that, that's not a feature that we have at the moment.
Okay. Last question was Braden actually just asking to go back to that slide that has the chart on it. So it was proportion of campaigns. So this is the percentage of the campaigns that have been created in Rewardful, and down here is the percentage commissions. And this has been asked a few times. We will share a recording of the webinar, and we'll make sure that we provide you guys a gated version of the deck. We'll also try to turn this into a blog post so that you guys can have a little bit of a summary on it moving forward. But thank you everyone for attending. We've got our last poll set up there. I'd love to chat with any and everybody on here about either getting you in touch, obviously, with Brady. Brady, where can everyone find you and Rewardful to get in touch?
Yeah, so you can find us at getrewardful.com, or on all the other social media platforms, things like that. But the best place to find us is on our website and in our website chat.
Yeah, super easy platform to get started with. We are actually a customer. We love it. And we hope that you guys, go ahead and start setting up some of these programs. And if you need any help, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. Obviously, my email's in the deck, and I'm happy to either provide you an intro to Brady or more importantly, take you through a demo of any of the platforms here we discussed. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Grant. Thank you, Brady.
Thank you, everybody.
Thanks, guys.